Kenya and Tanzania. Tanzania refused Kenyan drivers entry into Tanzania, and it took the efforts of President Uhuru Kenyatta to solve the impasse at the Kenya-Tanzania border in Namanga. Trade disputes between the two countries saw President Uhuru Kenyatta visit Tanzania to try and mend the tattered relations before they deteriorated again. In 2017, Tanzanian authorities set ablaze 6,400 live chicks and auctioned 1,325 cows confiscated from Maasai pastoralists who had crossed over to Tanzania. The then President John Pombe Magufuli had vowed that Tanzania was not a grazing field for cattle from Kenya. In 2018, the relations further worsened when Tanzanian authorities set to fire 5,000 live-day-old chicks from Kenya. Top on her agenda, President Samia Suluhu Hassan is ostensibly mending regional integration with the East African neighbors following a murky and strained relations under President Magufuli. Samia has visited Uganda in her first official state visit outside Tanzania, slightly a month after she was sworn in. Mwangi Maina, TV47, Nairobi.
Elsewhere, Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia says public service vehicles will continue to operate on half capacity until when the Ministry of Health revises and guides accordingly. According to him, the revision of the restrictions put in place to control the spread of COVID-19 will be done if there is a reduction in the number of cases in the country.
Tulifanya hiyo mageuzi kwa sababu ya hii ugonjwa wa COVID. Lakini Wizara ya Afya ina review hiyo mambo tukiangalia kiwango cha hii ugonjwa imefika wapi. Ikira chini kama ikifika kama 2.5%, basi tutafungua, Wizara ya Afya itafungua turudi mahali tulikuwa hapo, full capacity ya matatu zetu.
Let's get to matters health now, and the government has set aside at least 7 billion shillings for the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines from various manufacturers to avoid uncertainties. Treasury CS Ukur Yatani, who was appearing before the Senate Health Committee, said the uncertainty witnessed on when people will get the second jab was imperative for the government to start preparations. Yatani says the government has made provisions to invest in local manufacturing of the vaccine. The vaccines are to be purchased before the end of the ongoing financial year, which ends on June 30th.
I cannot exactly tell the amount, but I know for this financial year we made a provision of over 7 billion, and next year also we've made a provision. I cannot exactly say how much, but much higher than that. And we are not only targeting one particular vaccine, we are, because of the challenge of supply. You know, you can even place an order today, but given the queue, that you might not get them immediately. So based on that, we have looked at diversity in terms of source of supply, and we've made provision to have a continuous vaccination if funding wouldn't really be a problem at this stage. We've made adequate preparation for it. You can imagine, right now, maybe we're also working to set up a vaccine manufacturing plant. As a National Treasury, we are already making provision to look for resources so that we do not go to crisis like the way we are dealing with now. Ultimately, we have the manpower, we have the equipment, we have talents who can do that. It's just reprogramming and, you know, putting our resources on things that's going to have a better impact in the long run. And that's the issue of manufacturing, including vaccine, remains top of our priority.
Elsewhere, the Judicial Service Commission has started interviews in search for a judge of the Supreme Court today, with Justice Said Chitembwe and Marete Njagi facing the panel earlier today. The two were hard pressed to explain why they feel fit to serve at the Apex Court.
Thank you, sir.
On the first day of the interviews for the Supreme Court, Judge Chitembwe
and Justice Marete Njagi appeared before the Judicial Service Commission panel. Justice Chitembwe, who was among the 10 candidates interviewed for the position of Chief Justice, was hard-pressed to explain how he will deal with the presidential election petition if it arises after the next year's polls.
Whenever somebody comes and say the voters were turned away in these polling stations, you look at the number of registered voters in that polling station and how many voted. So the physical as represented by the relevant form for the presidency for 34 something. So this judge looked at each and every contested form and said, look, this one you are saying it was not signed, but the physical form was brought to us.
Second to face the panel was Justice Marete Njagi, who was also not successful in securing the CJ position following the nomination of Justice Marda Koome. Marete, who comes from Tharaka Nithi, however, says if the regional balance aspect will be applied in the selection of the judge, then he might be unlucky.
Let us sharply rise up and think out of this, because it is not real. Such that good enough you have my sister as the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, and on the other edge, if we use theory number one, I may not be eligible. I may not be the best of material. Everybody may make a lot of noise about it.
The judiciary has been at the loggerhead with the executive, especially on funding, during former Chief Justice David Maraga's era.
I know where we can go, and we can send other able-bodied people and able-personed people to do this. In the absence of that, if we didn't have them here, and I believe we have so many of them, we can hire these fundraisers.
Justice Marete also promised to end corruption within 2 years.
If everybody stood fast and firm and said that I'll play my role and play it accordingly, in the next 2 weeks, we'll have reduced this by 40%.
Justice Mathias Nduma Nderi and Dr. Patrick Lumumba Nyaberi will face the panel on Tuesday, while Justice William Okello Ouko, Justice Joseph Kiplagat Sergon, and lawyer Alice Yano Chepkoech will face the panel on Wednesday.
Well, that story was produced by Paul Kirobi but voiced by Mike Kagwongo. Elsewhere, on the 3rd of May every year, the world marks World Press Freedom Day. To celebrate the milestones made in the profession, several scribes met to celebrate the day with police brutality and government censorship taking the day in the meetings. However, corruption among journalists has largely been condemned, as Musa Salah now tells us.
Journalists across the country joined the world in marking World Press Freedom Day on Monday to celebrate the milestones achieved by the media. With information as a public good as this year's theme, journalists in Bungoma celebrated the day at Kandoi Children's Home, where they donated foodstuff. Home Administrator Alice Kimotho commended scribes for their role in the society, calling on the government to allow the press to inform, educate and entertain freely and independently.
Nashukuru sana kwa kazi nzuri ambayo mnafanyanga kama watangazaji, mnatuletea habari, mnatuelimisha mambo mingi kuhusu maisha yetu na pia tena mnatuentertain. Without you hatujui vile tungekuwa tunakaa.
According to the 2019 World Press Freedom Index, Kenya was ranked position 100 out of 180, the freedom of the Kenyan press featuring in most of the events to mark the day.
Sisi tunafanya kazi tu ya kumulika the society, yani jamii, na kuwapasha habari ambazo zinatendeka. Sisi hatuna ubaya wa mtu yoyote, na iwapo wewe umelengwa na ni ukweli, kubali yaishe. Usipange pengine tudhulumiwe kwa njia moja ama nyingine kama mauaji.
Mimi ni mmoja wa wale manusura ya nyumba ya mateso inaitwa Nyayo House. Nilikuwako miaka ya 87 nikashikwa, na ndio unaona hata meno hakuna, hii libaki huko, na ninaenda na mkongojo, na si ati ni uzee. Hii ni kunyanyaswa, kudhulumiwa, kufanyiwa unyama, sababu serikali ya siku zile haikuwa inataka ukweli. Ilikuwa inataka ikisema hakuna njaa, unaripoti hakuna njaa.
However, journalists received their fair share of criticism for their involvement in corruption that mostly clouds their objectivity in pursuit of news stories. National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi has, however, cited the low pay given to journalists as the root cause, further asking media owners to consider revising the salaries of their employees.
Wanahabari walikuwa na standi na principles zao ya kwamba ni lazima wa-educate, wasomeshe na entertain. Hiyo mambo ile the three principles ya utangazaji ni lazima kila wakati hiyo hapo.
Kama wewe hujapitia Kenya Institute of Mass Communication, sababu siku zile ndio hiyo pekee ndio ilikuwa inatrain wanahabari, ungepata hiyo press card. Lakini sasa mtu kama mimi sasa niseme nimeanza media house yangu, utaona ninapeleka list kwa media council ati watu wangu ndio hawa, na hata wapigwe darubini na media council ndio ione kweli kama wanatosha. So shida iko hapo.
For this conversation to make sense, today is my day to ask the media owners in this country to pay our children, their reporters and news crew very well. They deserve it. These people go to every length to get us the story.
Musa Salah, TV 47.
Let's get to some politics now, and with the debate on the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 resuming before the National Assembly tomorrow, the Orange Democratic Party says it has put its house in order following days of disquiet among members over the bill. ODM now claims all its members will unanimously pass the bill. Grace Josephine has more.
BBI proponents say Tuesday's sitting will be a Super Tuesday, expressing confidence that the bill will sail through. However, for the past 1 week, there has been a difference in opinion among members of the Orange Democratic Party in regard to the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020. In a sound rejoinder, the party has assured its supporters and the general public that its members are only differing on the constitutional review since it is a sensitive matter.
Professors of law like John Buddy is saying it's not true, but that is okay because that is your view. I am talking about the law. John Buddy, you've not stepped in law school, so just allow me.
Parliament will either pass or reject. Is it in vain? Ask yourself.
In terms of the issues that were brought before the House, we must answer those questions.
Where we have identified pitfalls, we have suggested how you overcome them.
The press statement reads in part, our legislators are only differing on substance but have a common agreement that they will pass the bill on the voting day. Kenyans should not look at the differences as a split but as a demonstration of maturity in a democratic space. Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria has urged leaders not to use the BBI agenda to engage in abusive politics toward each other, since everyone has a right to their opinion. According to the county boss, everyone is entitled to their own choice, even when it comes to the constitutional amendment.
Si mtu aseme mimi roho yangu inasema nini. Hiyo taratibu ikifuatwa, ile matokeo ambayo itatokea pale mwisho ndio itakuwa katiba, mageuzi ya katiba katika Jamhuri ya Kenya. Si mambo ya huyu kuongea vibaya kwa huyu. Na hii kitu ikipelekwa kwa mwananchi, kama huitaki, wewe unasema no. Kama unaitaka, unasema yes. Alafu hizo kula zote zinahesabiwa. Hapo hakuna mvutano.
The tentative timelines for the referendum drive by President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga through the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, currently before Parliament, resumes deliberations tomorrow. If approved by Parliament, it will go for presidential assent and later be submitted to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, or IEBC, which will frame the referendum question and set dates for the vote. Grace Josephine, TV 47.
From the BBI debate, where a showdown is expected tomorrow, it's time for us to take a short break here on TV 47 News Tonight. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more news after this break. Also coming up, Tension is high in Mukutani area of Baringo County following 5 days of continuous attack by bandits.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories. Sona moja as the country gears up for possible BBI referendum and 2022 general elections.
As the salvos enter too familiar territory,
William Ruto will serve his 5 years term as the deputy president.
Pundits Night is here to give you powerful, thought-provoking political commentaries.
The mountain can produce a country.
Give Moses Kuria a chance to respond. Let me ask you this. Are you not taking advantage of first my situation?
You talk about the people with the ultimate power.
Kikuyus will vote for somebody from outside their community to be the next president of this country.
We talk to the newsmakers, the opinion shapers, and the pundits.
Fair enough. I believe
that part so that I don't lose.
As we dissect everything you need to know to make an informed decision.
Oh, hi! It's not what you're thinking. It's a cup of coffee. Coffee, movie. Together, coffee with movie. Every Sunday, 8 p.m. on TV 47, where we bring you interesting, enticing people. Well, we've concentrated on musicians.
Yeah.
Producers.
So now I manage because telemanagement and events management, I think, was my passion.
Right about now, we want to go beyond to the counties and to other countries. Out here, let the sun stand still like Joshua time for 3 hours, but this time for only 1 hour. We bring you coffee with movie, interesting, enticing guests. Out here, tunaweza anza tuna Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, twende Uganda, Magufuli Land, TZ.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now, a humanitarian crisis is looming in Mukutani area of Baringo County as bandits have continued to stage attacks that have disrupted peace in the area. And for the 5th day, bandits have attacked security camps, sending tension among residents who have now fled homes and are staying at the security camps. Lakishon Laban has more.
Tension remains high in Mukutani area of Baringo County following the banditry attacks that have persisted. The latest incident happened last night where security agencies were under siege from 11 p.m. to early this morning.
I want to urge the government that urgently can you start operation in Mukutani. Because those who bandits, those who are in Laikivia, they have come down to Mukutani right now.
The residents are in dire need of a humanitarian aid. Food and water is needed as bandits have literally taken control. This is happening some weeks to the schools reopening.
We want operation in Mukutani as soon as yesterday because bandits are criminals. Why do we entertain criminals? If a criminal is a criminal and the law is very clear. Eliminate them or remove them. You have the powers as government. Why do we allow innocent Kenyans of Baringo South, Marikat sub-county to suffer? And they are peaceful. They are farmers. They want to cultivate. They are poor.
Insecurity situation in Baringo remains a high concern and a challenge to the government as the situation has worsened since 2016. Last night's attack is the 5th consecutively in a span of 1 week. Area leaders have called on Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembea to revisit the area to witness what the people of Mukutani are going through. Lekishon Laban, TV 47.
Elsewhere, Kamere Center on Moi South Lake Road, Naivasha was barricaded for the better part of Monday morning after irate fish traders and fishermen drawn from the Kamere beach lit bonfires lamenting over increased theft and destruction of their nets. Willie Dennis Njiru has the details from Naivasha.
Lake Naivasha has witnessed a series of demonstrations in a span of 2 weeks following warring factions of unlicensed and licensed fishermen from the lake over a common interest, fish. Today, unlike the previous demos, the licensed fishermen took their anger to the streets to express their anger.
Sisi tumekuwa tukiweka neti hapa. Ukiweka nyavu leo, kesho hakuna. Kila mara kama nyavu zangu za 40,000 juzi ziliibiwa. Nikiingia kwa lake hakuna nyavu zenye zinapatikana.
After no catch was reported at the whole landing beach with tattered fishing net, it was eminent that the enemy was drawing closer and bolder.
Leo hakuna mwenye amekuja na samaki. Kisa ni nyavu zimeibiwa. Yule amepata yake imekatwa. Na wenye wamekata hatujui wako wapi.
Tumechoka, tunanunua manyavu na tunapeleka vijana wanapigwa na wananyang'anya nyavu na samaki. Na kupigia niko na simu, hakuna kitu niko na zanazile naye.
A series of operations by area administration to weed out unlicensed operators in the lake commenced last week with the confiscation of 6 boats.
Sasa ukienda kulalisha nyavu zako unashikwa. Alafu ukikosa kulalisha nyavu zinaenda. Sasa hiyo ndio sasa tunataka serikali tushughulikie.
More than half of the 400 boats operating at Lake Naivasha are unlicensed, posing a strain on the economic value of the blue economy.
Tunalaumu department yetu ya fisheries kwa sababu wanafaa kuwa wamechukua mstari wa mbele. Sasa chenye tunaomba kama Kenya ina state yenye ina deal na department ya fisheries, hiyo yote ikolapsiwe.
Relentlessly, they say that the unbowed and no amount of intimidation shall subdue their efforts to claim their share until their voices are heard.
Bahari ya Naivasha kabisa ikishindwa na county government. Iende national. Because tumechoka. Tumeishi tukiimba hii mambo ya county. County hakuna kitu inatusaidia nayo for sure.
Reporting for TV47 from the shores of Lake Naivasha at Kamere in Nakuru County, I'm Willie Dennis Njiru.
Elsewhere, TV47 has signed a deal with the Nuclear Power and Energy Agency, NUPER, for the provision of TV series on nuclear energy. TV47 has been tasked to produce 10 weekly documentaries and interviews about nuclear energy, which aims to create awareness on matters nuclear energy. The deal is among the TV47's strategic partnerships in pipeline with parastatals and other sectors.
So that we improve on the perception of Kenyans about nuclear energy, because many do not know what nuclear energy is all about. Yeah, that's the punch.
Good, and ours is a surety that we will deliver as per the expectations of NUPER.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Few are the times when we are part of the news. Let's move on. And a man has been arrested in Kajiado County for allegedly killing his wife in what the neighbors say was a domestic row. According to the neighbors, the two have been fighting over and over. Confirming the incident, Robert Lemeyan, a village elder, said that they reported the incident to the local police. Police have launched investigations into the murder.
Walikuwa wanapigana sana na mzee wake. Wanapigana sasa mpaka si wenye plot tumewazoea kupigana.
Na yeye saa yote ni kupika makelele usiku, ni kupikana na bibi yake usiku na manakuya wote wakiwa walevi.
So kitu yenye amefanya ni kitu watu wengi walikuwa wanaonea kwa umbali. Juu hata huyu mwenye alikuwa na yeye alikuwa anampiga sana. He was violent. Ni mwanaume hata haheshimu hata wanawake.
Hivi visa vimekuwa vingi sana, vimekithiri, na ningeomba tu wananchi kwa jumla, kama inawezekana kukiwa na tatizo tuweze kusemezana, kwa sababu hilo tu ndilo jambo ambalo tunaweza fanya.
Well, it's time for us to get to the world of sports. Let's bring in